capable one-on-one hero, and Clockwork isn't quite so much. So Hot6 could try and angle for multiple lane wins here. They've also got the last pick benefit for mid, so they're going to see whatever QO's hero is going to be, and then they can respond accordingly. So I like this a lot for Hot6. I feel like they're taking full advantage of lanes and the fact that they're first pick.
Could this be an Ember Spirit game for QO? I know I brought it up last time, but this one feels slightly better.
Against the Brood, it can be decent.
I don't think it's good against Leshrac. You'll stop 400 magic damage, but he'll clear it really fast. Then your shield is gone, and then your damage is physical.
And he can buy
it's more cleavy, and the Yules can purge the Ember, the shield. So I don't think it's a good pick here, to be honest. Good against the Brood, kind of, in the late game, but you're a cleavy carry, and you're melee as well, so it doesn't stack with Drawer. It's got to be a range hero, surely. It could be a melee, maybe I don't know if it should be a Viper, but I think the Hot6 draft was pretty good here. Dazzle, Shadow Demon, 2 defensive heroes. If either one gets caught out, the other one can save the other. I think Disruption's really good on heroes like Leshrac. It's like tanky upfront heroes. If he gets silenced, or if he gets gone on by Witch Doctor or Clock, or gets Yules by Lina for the combo, you just disrupt and you can turn the fight.
You know what's amazing for MVP Phoenix, but I don't think we'll see it, would be a core silencer.
Ooh, whoa.
Because Dazzle and Shadow Demon can't do anything against Silencer. You pop Global Silence, the person that gets focused, no disruption, no grave.
And you get Drow Aura.
Definitely dead. And you get Drow Aura,
That's a really good point. I think that would be a solid pick here.
But
they take the Invoker. Now,
okay, Invoker time. Again.
Could this be an Exort Invoker? We've seen so much cross-Wex, and we've seen it backfire so many times. With the Clockwork, there is some setup for a Sunstrike.
With the Shadow Demon on the other side, actually, that has to be for MVP Hot6 a point of caution, because that can actually set up for a Sunstrike for them as well if they go for this defensive disruption.
Sunstrike blasts on the illusions though, right? Sunstrike hits illusions, right?
Yeah,
it should.
I believe so, doesn't it?
It's not like it doesn't just hit the hero. There's some spell that does that, I can't remember. But
so Mystic Slayer doesn't hit.
Yeah,
illusions.
that's an example. I'm pretty sure Sunstrike does, so it won't work on defensive disruptions, but
still drop a Meteor.
That's true. Surprising that they pick Invoker again, because it worked pretty well last game, but it is countered late game. I'm not completely sure if it'll go well.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And I really like the last pick as well from Hot6 with the PA. But so much pressure on Invoker. It's actually a very difficult hero for him to deal with.
Good in the lane, and as we mentioned last draft, it's really good against the Drow Ranger, just in general, to close that gap
as well.
Makes Cold Snap much worse. Cold Snap is like Invoker's best ability in the early lane stage, and you don't always know if you're going to hit him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How are we expecting the lanes to work out? I think for Hot6, is it as straightforward as it seems with the Tri and a Brood on the off lane, Leshrac in mid lane?
I think so. I suppose they could aggro Tri if they really wanted to.
I think the PA is against the Invoker mid and the Lesh is in the Tri lane.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
If they did aggro, it would probably be Brood versus Clock.
There's already a poor man shield on MP. I think he's straight up mid on PA. Yeah. It's actually a very good matchup for the Phantom Assassin, but the Drow Aura is going to tip things somewhat, so we'll see how that ends up working out.
Yeah, it will be just a defensive try for the Radiant side here. Hot6 again, with the Brood headed to the offlane.
So MVP Hot6, MVP Phoenix, is this going to be a 3-game series, or is MVP Phoenix going to take this one as well?
I like the PA versus Drow. I feel like carry versus carry. If Hot6 gets an advantage, the PA will just run away with this. So I think this could go to a game 3.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Purge. I like the Hot6 on it a little bit more here.
Certainly feels a bit more potent. We'll see some early pressure come out on the Broodmama in the top lane. Somebody already in a very deep position.
That ward is great.
Gets an Observer down.
It's a place that's almost never warded there, and it looks like they're trying to break the trees. Were they able to break the Clockwork trees? They did not. He cocked it.
Not quite, no.
So that was smart of him.
Yeah. We used to see this a lot when Batrider was a little bit more popular as well, that if somebody was playing Batrider against a Clockwork, they just run down and Firefly down all of those trees and prevent the creep bottling. But
I love what Febi's doing. He actually just broke all the trees.
He used all of his mana.
He even clarity's up. Wow.
And he plays a sentry, which is, I think, going to scout out the Observer place. But with that, MVP Phoenix, MVP Hot6, Game 2 of this Winners Bracket Series. It is going to be Zayori and Base Skip. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Shiva. We'll see March block out the creeps down here. Get a little Creepolibrium going his way. Nicely done as he blocks them in. And lanes, once more, will be fairly predictable on each side of the coin. We'll see how well they deal with this Brood Mama. So far, Sunby.
Some serious hate from Febby. He's
Yeah.
just like, okay, there are no trees for you to hide in. We've got sentry wards down. I think they found his observer, actually, with this other sentry ward, just because he happened to be hiding in the same trees that he placed it from. And that makes this offlane ridiculously difficult for the Brood overall. And like we said, it was a very early Broodmother pickup, so MVP Phoenix had all the time in the world to plan how exactly they were going to deal with this, and that matters for a lot.
Yeah, an interesting little stat there that is honestly not too surprising. It's a hero that can be dealt with appropriately, but you need that intel. In the games where she's a 4th or 5th pick and the other team's not ready for it, that's when she can really take over and get a lot of momentum. So we'll see how these other lanes go. March had an okay time in the off lane, finds level 2 at a pretty timely manner as he starts to leech in the jungle. Sunby gets pushed back into his tower, and this Brood is really in Strug City. Just nowhere to leech XP, still 0-0 in terms of last hits, and I think thus far they're dealing with it very nicely.
Yeah, and didn't bring a whole lot of regen to the offlane either. Looks like just a single pack of tangos from Sunby, which he's almost completely chewed through the...
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, the combination of the Witch Doctor and the Lina, they're both fantastic zoning supports individually, and
Is that a Soul Ring recipe, I'd imagine?
Yeah, that's a Soul Ring recipe.
No doubt.
But yeah, I don't think Sunby was necessarily expecting to have this hard of a start in the offlane, but he needs to just continue to... He doesn't have any alternate game plan, unfortunately, as a Broodmother. So he's just got to stick around here, try and get some vision over the supports, make sure that they aren't rotating over to try and gank the mid lane, and do what he can just to keep the tri-lane pinned. Broodmother can have a bad start and still recover just fine, and if her team gets off to a good start, they can rotate towards this top lane a little bit later, maybe find a kill or two and knock down the tier 1 tower to open up the Broodmother's access to the Dire jungle, and that's where she can farm the entire Dire jungle and be just fine to catch back up. So it's a hard start, and I want to commend MVP Phoenix for how well they've played this early game, but I don't think this is the end of the Broodmother by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, Febby up to his old tricks again, trying to snipe that courier in the mid lane, exactly what he did in the last game. And this go around, it seems Hot6 will be privy to it. And they'll move that courier in a slightly different path, and at least won't get sniped early on, as we're just a few seconds from that level 3 mark, or pardon me, 3-minute mark where it can be upgraded. Witch Doctor picks up some dust back at the base, so Nuts will have something to deal with the Brood even more so. Disruption on the mark. We'll see that heal ball from the Dazzle. There's that synergistic duo that we've seen so often.
Oh, they're randomly stunned Sunby in the trees. He's had enough.
Will EP out. Yeah, he does have about 300 gold, so now can at least grab another set of tangos and some regen.
They're even throwing rocket flash from the offlane.
Wow.
Phoenix are not giving poor Sunby a very easy time here on this top lane. And KP is actually doing fantastically on farm, keeping pace with the Lush. And that's one of the other aspects that we talk about when you look at the Broodmother. They're pressuring the supports and keeping them there, but also often making it somewhat difficult for the carry to get farm. But the full range tri-lane from Phoenix with the Drow is just zoning back the Broodmother so nicely.
So let's check in on this mid lane a little bit. Looks like the Invoker and PA going blow for blow. It is indeed the Quas Wex Invoker that we've seen so often. And both sides farming very evenly so far. As you were talking about, PA having a pretty easy time, all things considered. And
yeah, and I think without the Drow Aura, this is actually a PA favored matchup. And once she gets her phase boots up, there's a lot of kill potential. Actually, for the Phantom Assassin, or just being able to pressure the Invoker, is slightly more difficult against Quas Wex than it is against QE. And actually, a jump in here on mid lane.
And wow, nice jump back into a disruption. Febby trying to grab that LSA, but MP just a little too quick on the trigger. Also good rotation from the support to give him a target to jump to.
Yeah, that's a big mana investment as well from QO. Quas Wex Invoker typically can get a couple of combos down, but without the extra int, it makes life pretty hard, so he's probably going to have to ferry a Clarity or something to actually have kill pressure in this lane again, and that's going to make MP feel nice and safe, and he'll just continue farming up.
Both offlaners in some trouble here. We see March getting pushed back very far as MVP Hot6 dive this tier 1 to clear out the creep wave, and they'll continue to stay very aggressively positioned and do as much damage to this tower as they can.
This is a nice play because they know if they get one of the TPs out of the Phoenix supports, then all of a sudden Sunbee is going to catch right back up on top lane. So Phoenix are very hesitant to commit anyone to come and defend bottom because they know that they'll start to lose the grip that they have on the Broodmother. And, well, there's that solo kill that I was talking about.
Yeah.
With no mana left on the Invoker. It
doesn't even have the phase boots, though. That's just brown boots on a level 6. Maybe got a lucky crit there, catching the Invoker off guard. Still great start here for Hot6 now that they've officially won that mid lane. And I feel like March is handling himself pretty well in this off lane, though. Here we go. Disruption sets it up. He's going down, but the TPs will fly through. Nuts as well as Febby on their way in. Even KP joining the party. They want Jerax. I'm not sure they can bring him down. Good Delta split from Hot6. A 4th TP on the way. Febby hit by a split earth, but they want Fareb, and they will get him. QO joining the party. Tornado will interrupt the TP out from the Dazzle. And they should be able to finish off Heen. He does have a shallow grave, but no TP, no way to make an escape. He will most certainly go down. The Shadow Demon off to the side. He's going to run for it. They might still be able to track him down. Tornado should still be on cooldown for quite a while. Yep, another 13 seconds or so, and this guy's going to make it out. So a 1 for 2 overall, but a huge amount of rotations from the Dire side.
Yeah, very big investment from Phoenix, I think, unless they find that 1 kill is probably worth it because they got it on the Lesh, but had it only been 1 kill, say, on the Shadow Demon, then probably not all that impressive. And
see another setup here. KP just barely sidesteps it.
Still got him.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. The Lesh still has plenty of damage. The Lightning Storm finishes him off, and Shadow Demon gets credit for that kill. 3-2 as Hot6 continue their lead.
Okay, and the other thing that we were talking about, with TPs away from top lane, Sunbee's going to get some farm. He's going to start catching back up on net worth, so that's looking alright for him. MP gets burned out on the mid lane, but he's still got bottle sips, and I think he's going to be alright. QO struggling somewhat to sustain against the dagger spam, but at least he does have some points up in Quas, and can just keep switching over to that to get some health
It was big for QO in that bottom lane skirmish to find one of the kills, as it did give him some recovery against MP, but there we go. The blink forward gets a crit, does a lot of damage, but the cold snap comes out. A TP rotation from the Drow Ranger.
KP
not enough for the kill.
A lot.
He really is, and going for an interesting build, a 2-0-3, skipping Gust.
And Sunbee's only against the Clockwork top lane. He is having the time of his life. He's in between the tier 1 and the tier 2 tower now. March is, well, at the very least, going to be able to pick up his level 6 here. And does have 3 points up in the Rocket Flare to make it somewhat easier to deal with the Brood. But I think Hot6 is going to be very happy with how these lanes have been going, and very happy with how often they've seen the Drow Ranger TPing. And that's 2 TPs used.
Oh,
a death and no kill.
Phoenix, they missed the denial on the tower. It's Lesh that goes in and just pokes it. Fareb will get credit for that. Heen just barely sidesteps the tornado as it flies through. These rotations from Phoenix not going to prove successful here. Meanwhile, in the top lane, March in some trouble. Cog's not going to keep him alive from the spiders that are surrounding him. Things falling apart for this Dire side. Rotations not yielding kills. Now the Clockwork dies up top. Heen just barely lives. 1 hit from death, but now the rotation from MP jumps on QO. The cask takes a bounce, but still the PA will chase. Ghostwalk keeps him alive. Now they'll just turn on to Nuts. Has the Voodoo Restoration on, and that will not be enough to keep him alive here. PA eats a bounty rune and now bottles up a regen. This snowball is growing quickly here, base Kip. A much more active early game.
Yeah, definitely. This is looking really good for Hot6 as things keep on moving forward. Another jump in on the mid lane. Phantom Assassin looking for something, but there are 2 heroes here. Might be a bit aggressive from MP.
Oh, EMP misses. He could try to turn. Does have the regen room. Just needs to get into fog and then could try to make a play happen.
Yeah, looks like he's going to be just fine. This Phantom Assassin pick is working wonders. Shadow Demon's going to come in mid lane. That's pretty aggressive from Jerax all by himself, just throwing some Shadow Poisons out, but I think he knows that things are going very well for his team right now.
2 tier 1 towers already claimed by Hot6 as well. That's another huge pot of gold
March is
going
just
their way.
stuck top lane. It looks like his job at the moment is pest control, but Clockwork just sitting on map level 6. Hot6 are more than happy with that. They're like, okay, we know exactly where the Clockwork is at all times. He's not ganking our supports. He's not pressuring our Phantom Assassin in the slightest. And while it is only March being occupied for the Phoenix side, it's not like he's necessarily shutting down the Broodmother with his presence in the top lane, and it's freeing up both the Lesh and the Phantom Assassin to grab tons of farm in the meanwhile. I do wonder a little bit what MP is going to be going for build-wise. I feel like the early game has gone well enough that he could honestly just pick up some small items and sort of go for, your Vlad's, Basher, that kind of a thing.
Oh, they want
to get dumped.
Yeah, the dust is there, and more than enough damage to squat the bug. Yes.
I think they had a poor man's gem going on with the smoke into a dust. So.
Poor man's gem, I like that. Mid lane, they'll put some pressure on MP, but he'll be just fine. He's got his 2 defensive supports to back him up. Steps in the right direction to kill that brood, but you look at the net worth, and even though there was a lot of pressure on the Arachnid early on, she has completely recovered, just about even with mid laner on the Dire and far ahead of the off laner and the Clockwork. We just pull up the net worth graph really quickly. I'm sure we'll see the Radiant side pretty far ahead. Yeah, nearly a 5k net worth lead at only the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, and this Invoker, I feel like another big thing to talk about is the reason that you used to see Quaswex Invoker picked quite a bit is he was popular in Protect 1 strategies and just being able to hold on to your towers forever while whatever, you know, your Spectre or whatever you've picked as your 1 role is farming away, but QO thus far hasn't really been able to hold on to his tier 1 towers. Doesn't have a heck of a lot of farm. Desperately needs a 4-staff this game as well just to be able to get away from the Phantom Assassin. And that's going to mean potentially even no Orchid for him. I think at this stage his game hasn't been going well enough for him to try and build it up, and yeah, I think he just needs to go straight 4-staff, but his impact this game is already starting to look somewhat dubious. No, he's already got the quarterstaff picked up though, so it looks like Kyo's going to stick to his guns. It is really important to have the Orchid against the Shadow Demon and the Dazzle, but it's going to take such a long time to build this game. They're not going to take any tier 1s. I don't think for a little while.
And one of the other byproducts of all these Dire rotations is Lesh is just getting so much space to farm. We've talked a lot about this hero in general on this patch and how much he can do when he gets that snowball rolling, and this should be a very well-timed Bloodstone. The economic investment that'll allow him to even farm even faster, rather.
Yeah. And he's #1 on net worth already, so it's only going to make it better.
Oh, they're going to that tier 1 tower mid, but set up from Jerax will pop the ultimate as well. PA just trying to close the gap, but the cast causing him some issues. Will finally hop in. Tornado EMP does connect. LSA trying to follow up. MP will live, eats the stick charges, and the Evoker falls to the Broodmother as somebody rotates in. So 1-0 in the mid lane. They keep their tier 1 tower standing. It is certainly in deny range, and they'll probably go back for it after this little skirmish settles down. Nice setup there from Jerax to make it all possible.
I love these item decisions from Hot6. We've just got a drum picked up on the PA. There's a Vlad's over on the Broodmother. They know they're ahead, but they're just going to keep on going March. It's going to take a couple of crits to bring it down, and they get it.
Heal bomb from Heen to finish him off. But yeah, nice setup there. And getting more and more momentum around the map. The Drill Ranger, the one still farming pretty nicely, but Nut caught out in the mid lane. Slurth will set it up, and a couple of Pulse Novas will bring him down. EMP up top, sidestepped by MP, and QO needs to be a little careful here. Couldn't invoke a Ghost Walk, but MP goes cruising right in. Somebody here also have any detection? Yes, they do. That's a dust. They'll dive onto QO. Dagger slows him down. MP looking for some big crits, and won't find him as more heroes TP in to react. One of them gets canceled as Brood is getting closer to the tower, and what? Hand of Midas on the Clockwork. This does not feel like a Midas game to me here, Basekip, given how much pressure is coming the way of MVP Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't think this is time for Midas gaming for these, especially with the item builds that Hot6 are going for, as we were talking
especially
about.
On a Clockwork. You know, if it was on the Drow Ranger, I still don't think it would be good, but at least you could make a case for it. The Clockwork is already a bit of a non-factor, and I feel like something more like a Blade Mail that will give you some good stats in the here and now, return some damage on the ledge. Something like that would be a bit more valuable.
March does love Midas on his offlaners, but yeah, he goes it on his Warlock, which isn't always necessarily offlane. They should have put that in a 1v1 situation more often than not. And his Spirit Breaker as well, you see him with Midas. But still.
Spirit Breaker at least benefits from the attack speed, though, so there is a little bit more synergy there. Clockwork, not really known for his right-clicking prowess. Mid-tier 1 tower will fall. Forev gets credit for that one with the Diabolic Edict, and the net worth graph just on the up and up as MVP Hot6 continue to tighten the noose against their opponents here. QO just seems to be under constant pressure. It feels like every fight he starts off at half health after daggers go his way, and a crit could have been enough for a kill there. RNG not on the side of Hot6, but there's just nothing this Invoker can do.
Yeah, just getting dagger spammed back. There's some poison as well, zoning him out, and we kind of talked about it during the draft. The big benefit that I think Hot6 exploited here was being first pick allowed them to, because both teams tend to leave their mid lane heroes quite late, it gave Hot6 the benefit of seeing exactly what QO was going to be playing, and then responding perfectly with this Phantom Assassin. And like we said, they also got the double whammy in that the Drow Ranger suffers against the PA quite a bit. So
just how aggressive Hot6 are being, though. They know they have the momentum, and they're not letting up at all. You're not giving Phoenix any room to breathe. Already a Bloodstone up on Forev. He also has a casual cloak to boot. Very tanky for this stage of the game.
And I mean, what are Phoenix doing in the meantime? They do manage to bring in the tower bottom lane, so KP getting something done there. The mid lane tier 1 is also very low, so they might be able to jump over there and grab that one. He could even just try, if he's feeling extremely cheeky, to try and run over and backdoor the mid tier 1, but there is a Radiant Ward that would spot him on the way over, so it needs to be a little bit careful that it is about to fade, but either way, he doesn't know that.
Now this tier 2 is destined to be turned to rubble here as MVP Hot6 move forward. Glyph comes out, and I'm not sure if this is actually the tower you want to glyph here. At this rate, Hot6 could look towards a high ground siege before that glyph comes back up. Roshan, an option here.
The Roshan's easy, actually. They could even bring the Broodmother over to help out. She's got the Vlads picked up.
And they're doing exactly what you talked about with the Brood. They clear out those towers, and now this jungle is just completely opened up for somebody. Vlad's Soul Ring for now, but he's got 1,600 gold. Could start looking towards the Necro Book, or honestly, Dagon feels like a great item this game. MVP Phoenix are so far behind that there are a lot of heroes that'll be susceptible to that burst damage.
Yeah, it definitely could be a fantastic pickup. And this is... Wait, the 5th Midas first of the TI qualifiers.
That is surprising.
I'm actually surprised that there's that many, but anyway. All right, KP's in some trouble. Nice hookshot comes in for March, but MP just jumps right outside of the cogs and brings him down.
Now March is in trouble as well. QO comes in, pops the EMP. Maybe he can finish off the Phantom Assassin. He will. Nuts with a decent death ward, but now somebody on his way over. He'll just bring down Nuts, or at least try to. Jerax coming in as well. The dire side trying to Delta split, but the big pony boy is here. And it's a disaster for the dire side. A 1 for 4 overall. Sure, they get that high value kill in the Phantom Assassin, but now their high ground could be coming the next victim of this Radiant push. There are a few buybacks available here. 17 minutes in, you'd imagine so, but they won't have a glyph to keep this tower safe.
And Broodmother just getting involved with the team. They've got the Edict as well to start burning this down. Forev positioned so aggressively right now, but it just doesn't matter. He knows that he's got both the Dazzle and the Shadow Demon to back him up, so almost no matter what happens, even if he gets hooked, he's going to be just fine. And they send up the Witch Doctor. Nuts drop down.
Nuts is in a lot of trouble here. Pulse Nova should be able to finish him off. It looks like no, just barely gets out of range. One more auto attack. He will fall, but it sets up the kill on the Lesh. Mega kill streak ended. That 1 for 1, less than ideal.
Backup.
Lesh is already respawned, so not the end of the world. A 1,600 net worth gain. Lena gets nearly 4 figures out of it. Barracks stay standing, but they've lost a tier 3 tower already.
Still a little bit sloppy from Hot6 here and there. They, as much as things have been going fantastically, they've got to keep in mind that they are 1 game away from losing this, having lost the first one. So maybe after that, Forev's going to rein things in just slightly, and it looks like Hot6 are considering just going down towards bottom lane and taking out this tower. Kyo doing his best to split push and continuing to look for this Orchid right now, but I just don't know what the Orchid does when Hot6 control the entire map, really. I think he should have adjusted his item build somewhat.
Yeah. At this rate, by the time he gets the Orchid, is it even going to be the difference maker?
I mean, it's not going to be useful against the PA. She's buying a BKB. Broodmother has picked up a Blink Dagger, so it could be slightly helpful there. Of course, the 2 supports are still susceptible to it, but we're getting to the stage of the game where it's just going to be high ground siege, and that means that the supports are always going to be sort of far away.
It's also like Purge said, even if he gets an initiation on one, if the supports are near each other, the other can always bail one out. You've got a defensive disruption or a shallow grave, and now KP taking a lot of damage. EMP Tornado to try and break things up, and it might get the kill on the Brood. No, Shallow Grave comes out, but not even necessary. The Laguna not enough for a kill. March will get put up in the Yule Split Earth waiting for him as he comes back down to planet Earth. Hook shot right onto MP, and that will secure his death for sure. Drow Ranger as well as the Clockwork buyback just about instantly, and it seems their presence will not be enough to keep this lane of barracks standing. Ranged has already fallen. Melee soon to go down. The sustainability from Heen is just off the charts. He's running low on mana, but he's already done his job to a T.
Yeah, the Dazzle pick has done a ridiculous amount of work both in Game 1 and Game 2, so could see that being pretty hotly contested as I think we're going to be moving into Game 3, honestly.
It feels like it.
Yeah, it does seem like it. The Lesh is about to double up the Drow Ranger, about to double up everybody over on the Phoenix side in terms of net worth, so he's going totally crazy with the Bloodstone farm. We talked about how Phoenix seemed like they had the answers to the Broodmother. They went up, they chopped down all of the trees, they put down the sentry wards, they had the aura, plus 2 great zoning supports to prevent Sunbee from getting all that much, but Sunbee still does just fine, and the pressure on the opposite side of the map down in that safe lane really getting everything done for him to get started in this game.
Brood's gunning things out here. Oh, Dust comes out, but it doesn't connect on Sunbee. They get a couple of little spiderlings.
But it looks like that's about it. Phoenix just trying to come outside of the base here and find some valuable kills if they can. They're actually just marching into the Roshan pit. I don't know if that's the play. MP going to come jumping in with his BKB active. QO is almost dead already.
Yeah, QO goes down straight away. The Death Ward doing some okay damage, but it just isn't enough. KP the next to go down. Now March squaring off against MP. GG is called already. Game 1, very close, but here in Game 2, Hot6 take a very dominant victory. And now
they won in the
get
draft.
Interesting.
I think they just straight up won in the draft, and that's what we said, right? That if Hot6 are their best opportunity against Phoenix is going to be hopefully win the draft, win the game. They manipulated this so well. The PA pick was fantastic, and I think the other big thing to talk about is that they got away with the first 2 Broodmother, and that should be a very big deal moving into the draft for Game